But the context of this is a 60% increase in people crossing the Channel on the year before, 46,000 almost in 2022. What has he got to do to get a tackle on this in the next year?
I think he's got to get on with it, and that means that he needs to be able to do things that don't get overturned by foreign judges. And obviously people are surprised that after Brexit that we still don't have control of our laws and control of our borders. But we are signed up to the European Convention on Human Rights, and that has been, I mean, there's perfectly worthy statements, but we've now got people interpreting that in a bizarre way. And we had this before with, do you remember they were saying that we should give prisoners the vote? And I mean, they've come up with all sorts of bizarre interpretations. But obviously, if we have this policy, which I think would be perfectly effective if it was allowed to operate, of deporting people to Rwanda, that's fine to get that sorted out. But it's no use if it's overturned by the European Convention on Human Rights. And he needs to be prepared to say, no, we're withdrawing from this. And even if he has a bit of disunity, I mean, he's very anxious to avoid sort of rebellions and disunity and controversy, but I think he needs to face up to it.
You've got to, well, look, it's the nature of the beast, right? You can't have a completely monolithic. Well, can I just say when it comes to this, Theresa May now chiming in about the victims of genuine modern slavery, and we all know that they exist. I would argue that plenty of them have not actually come here across the Channel. They've existed in existing relationships, for example, in a variety of different areas in this country. But in terms of the way our modern slavery laws are currently being used and abused by a lot of people crossing the Channel, does it actually, does that outweigh the idea that there are some of the victims, i.e. we should be tightening it up? It's being taken for a ride at the moment, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And the idea that somehow anybody should be able to claim they're worried about modern slavery and that therefore they should be allowed to stay and they don't need to produce any evidence. I mean, that is
paid to come here.
Yeah, I mean that is disproportionate. But I do think that Theresa May was quite right to say that modern slavery is a huge scandal and should be given attention. I'm afraid her legislation, I don't think, was effective. It was a lot of box ticking. We've got it's estimated 10,000 slaves in Britain in our midst in the sex industry. In sort of domestic servitude, and she passed this legislation wanting to do something about it, but really it's just box ticking. You know, it's copy and paste slavery statement, you know, modern slavery strategy, and local authorities that could be doing something practical about it in terms of it overlapping with other problems like benefit fraud and substandard housing and trying to actually rescue these people. There's too much sort of virtue signalling. Here's our statement saying we're very concerned about it.
Rishi Sunak